Think tanks are a broader term of research institutes or however you want to define them, can play an important role in various aspects of the policy process, if you want. They're involved in, or they try to influence the policy agenda. They try to come up with good ideas for policy reforms or for new policies to be introduced. Of course, they are important in monitoring the implementation as well, of what the impacts is of things, and monitoring and evaluation, if you want, of the policy interventions or policy proposals. So they play a role in various aspects of the whole policy process. I think they are under pressure right now for two reasons. Okay, one is that, and we see that also in the whole donor community, with all the donors have to rethink their priorities in funding allocations. And so this typically, the one thing is obviously health issues have become much more important. So both, of course, in your own country, in terms of the government to invest in basically the whole health infrastructure, also in basically support incomes of the poor people, the social safety in the country. And then, of course, the same thing if you want to give aid to other countries in terms of these things. And that means that at the same time, there's basically major economic recessions everywhere, which means that the tax revenue for the governments is going down and will certainly go down more next year, probably. And all of these things means there's a crunch on funding potentially for these think tanks, okay? Because they're typically supported, they can be supported by private donors or public donors, but in any case, there's going to be basically pressure everywhere. Another way why some of the think tanks may be pressured is because they may come out with findings which are, how should I say, uncomfortable truths for some of the political regimes. And so the regimes may not like the findings of these think tanks, okay? And if COVID is reinforcing that, that may provide another reason why there may be pressure on these institutes to be careful about the statements that they make, or basically see their funding cut, because people don't, the governments or whoever's in charge of controlling them doesn't like the message they bring. Maybe just one point, when we talk about research, we as well, okay, and the think tanks as well, and the institutes we collaborate with in the fields, is that it's just hard to get information out now. So there's a lot of stories about how things are terrible there, how things are not so bad there, but all of it is ad hoc. There's very little representative information where we are scientists, but that's the job, right? Get the right data, analyze them in the careful way. That's what we're going to do. And so one of the things at IFPRI, we have spent decades on building up our survey systems to go in the field, do randomized control experiments, of all these things which are not possible now. And so move to phone surveys. But phone surveys have a problem that you almost have built-in inequalities when you use them, because who has a phone and who doesn't have a phone, right? Rich people have phones, and well, increasingly poor people have phones as well, but of course there's still a bias in these things. And so we have to be very careful how we use the information which comes out of these phone surveys to feed into policies which are targeted to people you can't use or who may not be in your data set.